Welcome to the Impact Over Optics podcast, a place where real progress shines beyond appearances and distractions. Here, voices from across industries come together to share wisdom, stories, and strategies that remind us what's possible when purpose leads the way. Because true progress is not measured by how it looks, but by the impact it leaves behind. Let's get started.
Hello, and welcome to Impact Over Optics, the podcast where we go beyond appearances and focus on what really moves the needle: authentic leadership, purposeful results, and lasting impact. I'm your host, Jon Detweiler, and I'm really excited today to be joined with Emily Pinto. Emily is a life coach and a creator of a company called Rooted in Luck. Emily, thanks so much for joining us. Do you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and sort of an exciting project you're doing right now with Rooted in Luck?
Absolutely. Thanks, John. So something about myself is I absolutely love four-leaf clovers. I've always been able to find them wherever I go, and I just love being able to pass out the luck to others who maybe have never found it. So Rooted in Luck is my project that I'm working on to help with people to reclaim themselves and not be so tied to people pleasing and be able to kind of deconstruct some of those relationships and expectations that they've had throughout their life. So it's something that I am really passionate about. And I believe everyone should be able to have the ability to kind of break down some of those traumas or blocks, just like me passing out four-leaf clovers. I just love being able to spread luck and information around to better yourself.
So those four-leaf clovers, and for our listeners, I got to tell you, Emily actually gave one to me. I keep it, most of you know I'm a paramedic as well. I actually keep it in my helmet. Like, it's one of those things that's very special to me. It's a small laminated card. Emily, if you had to guess, how many of these have you given out?
Oh, I don't want to say 1,000, but definitely over 500 for sure.
That's
So
incredible.
somewhere in between there. Yeah.
Okay, I love it. I absolutely love it. So, one of the reasons I'm so excited to have you join us is our focus this month is purpose-driven leadership. And one of the things that I've gotten the opportunity to learn about you and really appreciate about you is there is purpose behind everything that you do. Whether you're coaching, mentoring, just having conversations, you are very much purpose-driven. So, you felt like a really good guest to be able to have a conversation with us today about purpose. So, I want to talk about, when we get started here, sort of the things that drive you. So let me ask you this. What's the most meaningful impact you've had in your work? And why did that matter to you?
Yeah. So I would say the most meaningful impact isn't actually just one thing or one moment, but that it's been from 1 million moments. So ever since I was young, I've always loved to connect with people. And at that time, it was definitely more ego centered, and I wanted to people please and I wanted to be part of the solution, and I loved being able to help people. Whereas now I feel that I'm trying to take my ego out of it, and I'm trying to help people understand that they are lighting their own path. I'm just walking alongside them, just being that friend, and that I'm not the one holding the light. It's them that's lighting their path, and I'm just here trying to ask the right questions and just try to help deconstruct some of those past beliefs.
Love the analogy of they still hold their own light. You're just there to guide them. I think that that's one of the best things. Again, whether you're talking about being a coach, a mentor, a friend, whatever you're doing, I think that that's just a beautiful analogy to look at how we encourage others and walk beside them. So, next question. What keeps you grounded in purpose when everything around you sort of focused on performance? Again, like, one of the things as a company that we really focus on is trying to get beyond just the appearances and really getting to the substance. But how do you stay grounded in purpose when it's all about how many clicks you get, how many opens on your emails, how fast you're turning over this process? How do you stay grounded in purpose?
Do not take anything personally, ever. You can't take it personally. So something that an analogy that I would use is, let's say you are a Swiss Army knife and you have 7 to 8 really good tools at your hand, and you start a new job, and that new job, you don't have the right tools that you need, or you need to use them in a different way than that you're used to. Being able to recognize that is the most important thing. So if someone's asking you this, but it's just not in your wheelhouse. It's not saying that you are a bad person or you're not competent. It's just a fact that that's something that you need to work on. And for most people, then that's the decision. Well, do I want to work on it and be able to move forward with it and, sharpen these skills? Or is that too much emotionally, trying to be so far out your wheelhouse that it's not actually stretching you, it's burdening you? So then being able to recognize, all right, this just isn't for me, and being able to understand that and separate the two. Because I think yes, you need to, in a job, if you're asked to do A, B, and C, you want to be able to do A, B, and C. But if you don't, it's not always just a reflection of like you don't care or you're not good enough. It just might not be in your wheelhouse. So being able to step back and not take those things personally and just being able to understand just can you do the task or not do the task? Or if the boss saying like, hey, you did it wrong, I'll be like, okay, well then show me how to do it right. Like it doesn't matter what they are saying. I'm just listening to the message, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. And it's a great reminder because, I mean, for as many times as we say or we hear from people, hey, don't take this personally, it's a really good reminder that we're wired as human beings to take things personally. We're emotional creatures. So it's sort of overriding almost your natural programming to say, I'm not going to allow the tone, the person, or any of those things to affect the message. I want to focus on just the message. So
Mhm.
I love that. It's a great way. So let's transition a little bit into leadership. I had a cool opportunity to be able to work with Emily in a space where we were peers, leading other people, leading teams, and it was really fun to watch Emily lead. So tell me, how do you coach or mentor someone to lead authentically and not just strategically? Again, so much of what we ask of people is like, here's the metrics, here's the KPIs that we're going to measure. How do you do that? What do you do to lead that way and develop leaders?
So first and foremost, I get to know them. I meet them where they're at and I understand sort of what makes them tick. There are some individuals that I worked with that they don't want any of the extra fluff. They want to know what they did wrong, how they did it wrong, and what they need to do to fix it. And then I've worked with individuals that if I'm that direct, they are going to melt into a puddle and just not be able to perform for the rest of the day. So I want to make sure that I'm meeting them where they're at with empathy, with curiosity, and with love. So that way I can better understand how I can provide the best information for them. So then they can shine with the strengths that they do have instead of highlighting all of the negative. I'm wanting to kind of flip it to be like, you were so close, but let's just kind of finish it a little bit.
So I'd like to pull on a little thread that you had said. You had said leading with curiosity. When you think of leading with curiosity, what does that look like? Again, as kids, I think we're inquisitive, we are curious, we're exploring the world from the time that we're toddlers and learning to walk. But the older we get, and I'll be the first to admit, I'm losing my curiosity. How do you make curiosity a good part of the way that you lead and encourage others?
I think just because part of me just has never lost that curiosity, that it's just easy for me to just kind of keep pulling on that thread. Like I guess if someone makes an error and to me is like a big error or something that I would never do, instead of being like, why would you do it this way? I would be like, what made you do it that way? Like, what were the circumstances? And that's where a lot of times there were other outside circumstances that I wasn't even aware of, or nuances between the phone conversation between that person and the client. And it just, if I can understand their line of thinking, then I can be like, oh, okay, like that makes sense why you thought you needed to do it that way, especially coming from your background and your past. But instead, we're not going to do it that way. We're going to do it, whatever way we need to do it. And that way, you're not shaming them for not knowing. You're also acknowledging, like, yeah, that line of thought made sense to you because of your background. But to me, it made absolutely no sense because I've always done it this way. So it's being able to meet them with the curiosity instead of the iron fist of, you must do it my way. And how dare you not be able to read my mind and do it exactly how I would do it. It's like, that's just silly.
So you're literally the leader that I want to follow, right? Like I want somebody who wants to understand my process, my thoughts and whatnot before sort of coming back. So I love that. But that leads me to sort of another question, which is the backside of this, which is what is a leadership lesson that you learned the hard way and something you just wouldn't even trade for anything? Again, I love the approach that you're taking for dealing with or coaching people through their shortcomings. Tell me about something that a shortcoming in leadership that you had that you wouldn't change for anything.
Put me on the spot here. Let's
Well, I
see.
like to do that. It makes it a whole lot easier to put people on the spot because then I don't have to reflect on all of the mistakes that I have
True,
made as a leader, which if I was
true.
having to answer that question, I would ask you, do you want it in volumes or do you prefer it to be Dewey Decimal System? Like, how would you want it? Because
Yeah,
making mistakes is something that I'm pretty good at, but
yeah. I think so this was at a prior job. I was working with an animal rescue, and the core value and the passion when I first started was absolutely there. And as leadership and things changed, I was starting to compromise some of my own values and being able to put that, and I was putting them aside the expense of, well, no one else is going to take care of these animals. So, like, I need to keep going, keep going, keep going. And as things progressed, my life also progressed. And I realized that being at that job just financially just wasn't going to be my best interest moving forward. What I did, while it might not have been a leadership impact directly into work, it was a leadership impact that I needed to step into the role of kind of taking control of my life. So being able to step out of my comfort zone, try to find another job where I can grow into that authenticity, and then being able to then work with you at that next job, I wouldn't have changed that for anything because I believe I needed to be kind of down in the trenches and just really reflecting on what's my goal? What am I also holding my worth to and tying it to when I shouldn't be, and just being able to let go of some of those people pleasing tendencies and just putting myself first, I think was the most impactful thing that I could do because that led me to you, where then I was able to fully immerse myself in a leadership role. And really be able to stretch my wings a little bit. And you gave me such a good safety net that as much as, other jobs and past experiences and hindrances. And in the moment, it was just so raw and just I felt like I could never come out of it. I'm so glad I went through it because I needed that kind of opposite to be able to be that grateful for where I'm at now.
and I appreciate the kind words, but to use an analogy from somebody that I really respect, I really did nothing but walk alongside you. I let you hold the light and shine your way and just encouraged you along the path. So
Thank you.
we had a really good time working together, and I really enjoyed seeing the way that purpose is what drove so many of the things around you. It is an uncommon thing in today's world to see somebody so purpose driven, and I love that about you. Let me dig deeper into that one and ask a question sort of about there is a major sense of uncertainty in the world today. And whether you're talking politically, socially, whatever, there's a lot of uncertainty. How do you maintain clarity and conviction? How do you maintain those things and stay purpose focused when there is so much uncertainty, whether it be in the job market or the news? How do you do that? How do you stay focused with all of this uncertainty and pushback around us?
It can be hard, for sure. So something that, especially in the most recent past, probably within the last 3 months, I've really leaned on gratitude and how I need to amongst all of the crap that's out there, I need to focus on the good. There was a time in my life where I was very much drawn to the drama, the gossip, all the like low vibrational stuff because it was interesting and, it just kept weighing me down where now I have to use gratitude to help boost myself back up. So if I'm watching something on the news, it's bringing me down. I'm like, I need to stop and I need to reflect on, at least 3 or 4 positive things that are going on just to kind of help bring me back up and stay grounded because amongst all of the bad things, there's still 1 million good things. I got out of bed. I have access to running water. My dogs are happy and alive and I get to snuggle with them. There's so many good things that are happening that it's so easy to overlook them when there's constant bombardment of bad news and politics and, just doomsday stuff. But if I could tell anybody to help kind of pull themselves out of it, just start listing everything you're grateful for.
I follow Rooted in Luck, and I followed your series on gratitude and building gratitude on a daily basis. That was so impactful for me because, again, sometimes I get wound up in just the humdrum of daily activities and you forget that. So it was a great reminder. I really appreciated you doing that.
Can I interrupt
Yeah,
one
for sure.
actual point is, and it's not about faking that everything is good. It's really being able to embody it. So I don't want listeners to be like, "Oh, just list it off, just list 10 things and, everything's going to be sunshine." It's actually really feeling it and being grateful for it and embodying it, not just saying it. So I think that's also just a key point I wanted to clarify.
Love that clarification because, again, it goes back to the fact that authenticity is what reigns king. It is not about looks, it's not about optics, it's really about what we're able to do. So tell me about what purposeful results look like in your world as a life coach, as a mentor. How do we measure that? What is winning in your space look like?
Winning for me is not being my own worst critic. Winning for me is me being my own, like my best cheerleader, and being able to know that when there are bad things or low points in my life, that it's only a moment and it's not anything to do with me or, I'm not good enough or anything like that, but that it just happened. And so being able to kind of take some of those things out of it, I think definitely helps.
So, when you're working with people, what are some outward signs you see that sort of show you or reflect back to you that, what you're doing is truly impactful? How can if we want to be beacons of gratitude and we want to be beacons of hope in the world, what are the signs, the outward things that show that we are getting to that place? We are making an impact.
So I guess uh, I know I'm making an impact because I know it helped me. And because it helped me, I want to be able to share that. If I can share that to at least one other person and I know that it made a difference for them, then that's all that matters. Like going into like my current program that I'm working on, it's a 5-week program. I'm putting my heart and soul into it because it's something that has truly changed my life. And I very well know that this could be my biggest break and the thing that totally just gets me moving forward, or it could be my biggest flop. I am 100% okay with either because if I know that I put this out there and it helps at least one other person, then it's purposeful. And if I can help that impact with that one person who then could maybe impact another person, like it's really, it doesn't matter about the reach. It just matters about if I should say, it doesn't matter about the reach of millions of people. If it reaches just the right people that it needs at that moment, then that's all that matters to me.
I feel like you're almost doing a commercial for impact over optics, right? Like really focusing on the things that make a difference. And I love it. I feel like you are a very sort of ritualistic person in that you do certain things. Gratitude, your gratitude study was a perfect example, right? Like do this every day to feel and to grow and to experience and whatnot. Do you have a practiced habit or ritual that helps keep you grounded in purpose? And the example I'll use is McRaven talks about, what's important in his famous speech that he gave to the Longhorns at graduation. He said, the most important thing, start out, make your bed every day. And making your bed each day is a task that is completed. Do you have any sort of tricks or tips? Do you have any of those things that you could look to and say, hey, what are things that we could do on a daily basis to help us find a more authentic self, to live a more grateful life? What are some of those things?
So just to stay in the same vein of gratitude, I've been playing with this for most of the podcast because this is my little fidget toy. So it's just a crystal. It's just a heart crystal that I use to hold when I need to feel gratitude. So what I first used started out with is every night before I would go to sleep, I would hold this and I would feel it. It's kind of cold. I would feel the edges. And then as I'm just kind of focusing on that, I would go throughout my entire day and I would have to pick the most or the thing that I was most grateful for. And what I love about that is it forces you to not only kind of really embody it and really you're thinking and you're really bringing it home and grounding it to yourself, but then you're going through the entire day of all of the good things that did happen, even though there might have been some bad things. You're thinking about all of the good things that did happen. So you're not only compounding all of the good things, you're thinking then what out of all of them is the best? And then you're setting yourself up for success going to bed, because if you're going to bed happy and grateful, you're less likely to, one, for me, I've had less like nightmares and things like that where or I'm more empowered in my dreams, or I'm like, no, I'm doing this. And so it's kind of like I'm setting myself up for just a good night's sleep. And then a good morning. If I'm going to bed happy and content, I'm most likely going to be waking up happy and content and grateful. So that's just really something that I've been doing. Like it was probably like a solid month or two that I did that. And I can now just do it without thinking. And I'm just so happy that I've incorporated that into my routine.
I love it. And those are the practical steps, honestly, that are so valuable to be able to take little nuggets away. So I really appreciate it. This has been a ton of fun. We always ask the same question when we get done. When our listeners walk away from this, what's one message that you want them to take away?
Don't be so hard on yourself. We are all humans and we're going to make mistakes. And this is the first time each of us is going through life. So while me growing up, all of the adults thinking that they know everything, they don't. You don't. And that's okay. And just give yourself grace, roll through the punches, roll through the mistakes, be grateful for that they happened. So that way you can fix it and do better next time.
You are incredible. I absolutely love this. I'm already following along everywhere I need to. Let our listeners know where can we follow you with Rooted in Luck and the things that you're doing. Where's the best place?
Yeah, so Facebook and Instagram, it is Rooted in Luck Co at the end, CO, and you can just follow me right there. I also have a newsletter that you can subscribe to on the links in the bio, and you can get a weekly newsletter that has a lot of this gratitude and just working on the day to day and just focusing on you and empowering yourself.
Sign up for the newsletter, folks. I'm telling you, I get it from her, and it is worth the read. It's one of the few things that hits my inbox, and I always stop to read it. So really appreciate it. Emily, thank you again so much for joining us on Impact Over Optics podcast. I'm Jon Detweiler, and remember, authentic change always outlasts appearance. And until next time, lead with purpose and leave a real mark. Thanks.
Thanks again for joining us on the Impact Over Optics podcast. We hope today's insights sparked fresh ideas and reminded you of the power of purpose-driven work. Please share this episode with others who believe in real change, and join us again as we continue to look beyond appearances and focus on the impact that truly lasts.